Hey there, this is Dr. Evan Osar with the Institute for Integrative Health and Fitness Education. Thanks so much for joining us on Integrative Movement Insider live on Facebook. And this is part 2 of a 2-part series of Integrative Movement Insider. We're discussing medical fitness. And exactly what is medical fitness, as we discussed in part 1. So if you missed that, watch that after you watch this video. Medical fitness is really being able to work with individuals that have a complicated medical history. And when I say complicated, it doesn't mean it's complicating, it just means that they have multiple issues generally when they come and see you. So generally these are the clients, the baby boomers and seniors, and individuals that are experiencing things like chronic osteoarthritic changes of their hip joints, spine, and or shoulders. They're also dealing with things like chronic muscular type issues and fascial issues and restrictions, posture and movement issues related to joint issues, discomfort, and the inability to perform at the levels they need to and or want to. It also includes concepts like working with individuals that have maybe cancer, Parkinson's, MS, other neurological type diseases, individuals that have balance issues, strength issues, and issues just doing the things of everyday life. So walking, sitting, being active, getting down on the floor, playing with their children and or grandchildren. So this is sort of that umbrella term of what we're referring to as medical fitness. It's much more an approach that includes and is comprehensive of helping people with their quality of life, doing the things they need to, want to, and ultimately return to the things that they love to do or continue to do the things that they love to do, versus an approach that just focuses on people working out hard or getting a sweat or kicking somebody's butt just because it's a fun thing to do and people think they need it and they want it. It's really about changing, transforming people's lives, giving back quality of life, empowering individuals to have a quality of life and take proactive strategies that you'll teach them and instruct and guide them through to improve quality of life. So there's 3 things that you ultimately need to be a medical fitness specialist. The first thing is you need education. You have to understand anatomy, biomechanics, and motor control, meaning how the brain, the nervous system, controls and reacts and uses the muscular and myofascial systems to create optimal posture and movement. Part of that process is also identifying your clients' non-optimal and inefficient patterns. Those non-optimal and inefficient patterns and habits that have been created throughout a lifetime because of things we've learned, things we've seen, inactive lifestyle, and or secondary to compensations from surgery, trauma, and or injuries that have created and led to non-optimal and inefficient habits, which ultimately relate to why your clients have chronic tightness, discomfort, and or the inability to perform at the levels they need to and or want to. Because once you have your education, then you must be able to execute the most effective corrective exercise strategy. And what is corrective exercise? In our paradigm, the integrated movement system corrective exercise approach, it's the ability that once you identify your client's non-optimal and inefficient posture and movement habits, you help them create more optimal and efficient posture and movement habits through corrective exercise. So you help your clients release areas of chronic myofascial restrictions and or adhesions and tightness and or gripping areas. So that way you get them into a better alignment so then you can activate the right system, the right myofascial system and approach, meaning you use the principles of the integrative movement system to improve alignment, breathing, and control, and to use alignment and breathing control to help your client reestablish more optimal and efficient posture and movement habits. Because then once you teach your client how to execute and develop more optimal and efficient habits, then you move into the third phase, the third thing you need, and that's to empower clients. And I want to introduce you to a patient and friend of mine, Debbie McNally, who happens to be here.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
And the great thing about Debbie is Debbie has been with us for several years now, and she came to us before, she said it's okay that we share her medical history, her brief medical history, is she came to me with a tight hip. And she'd been working out with the Pilates instructor, and she'd been having really good results with the Pilates instructor. However, her hip was chronically tight and was affecting her ability to exercise and to walk as well, as far as also to bend over. So when we first identified and assessed Debbie, we realized that, yeah, she has a joint restriction and she actually had an pretty osteoarthritic hip. One of the things that we noticed with Debbie was her posture, that she was stuck in posterior pelvic tilt and lumbar spine flexion. And Debbie is a very thoughtful person, and so this is the kind of client you really want to work with, because she went home and thought about the things I was sharing with her and teaching her. And she's like, yeah, I remember after I'd had a C-section with your first child, what was one of the strategies that you told me that you developed after that C-section?
I don't know what the strategy was. I couldn't even stand up straight.
Right.
My OB-GYN said, oh, it'll be fine. And like 2 months later, I'm still walking around like this. So I think I just pushed myself up and gripped my butt.
Yes, exactly.
Eventually I got up.
You got up and you were able to take care of your child, because that's ultimately your goal when you first start. I mean, obviously as a new mom, I mean, your priority is the child. So yes, so what happens is, individuals like Debbie will develop after this C-section, this minimally invasive surgery, or this common surgery. That you think about women that just had C-sections, for example, they have a major surgery, C-section being a major surgery, and then they go back to being the busiest time of your life. You can probably attest to that is the most busy you'll ever be, the most sleep deprived you'll ever be, and now you have to function to carry this child and care for this child, and you're in the most compromised position that you've probably ever been in your life at that point. So she's developed a strategy, and you described it perfectly. You started gripping things like gripping the glutes, pulling the abs in, are two very common strategies. So as we helped you along the process, we helped you get ready, because you needed a hip replacement.
Right.
We helped you get ready and prepare for the hip replacement by developing a better strategy and helping you strengthen as much as we could. And then after your hip surgery, you went to rehab, like most people do after joint replacement. But what's interesting is they don't go to rehab after a C-section. They'll go to rehab after a joint replacement, but they won't go to rehab after surgery. But what happens to people like Debbie, and what happened to Debbie, is she got through the initial rehab, so the first 6 to 8 weeks after the surgery. But what happens is, many people are leaving physical therapy. Yeah, they can do the things they need to do, like she could still sit and walk, but you still had weakness. You still had a lot of weakness, and you were getting a lot of gripping still, because your muscles were just trying to grab on, because you weren't as strong and stable, and your strategy wasn't as efficient as it could have been. So she's leaving rehab with what we've termed incomplete rehab syndrome. And I should say, we haven't termed it, but the industry has termed it incomplete rehab syndrome. Again, another reason why you want to specialize as a medical fitness professional, because that way you can help clients like Debbie, because you understand, you're educated about these conditions, you're educated about helping people like Debbie create a more optimal strategy. So after Debbie worked with me for a period of time after her surgery, I started to travel a lot and teach a lot, or I should say, as I was traveling and teaching a lot, I suggested to her, I'm like, I want you to continue with our integrative movement specialist, Sarah Fisher. And you were like, well, I don't want to work with anybody but you. So you were a little skeptical and leery of working with somebody else. So, but you trusted me, and you started to work with Sarah. And can you just briefly share some of your experiences of working with Sarah? Because now you've been working with her probably for about a year or so now.
Yeah, well, no offense, but it's just like working with you.
That's actually a good thing. That's a great thing.
Yeah, right, yeah. So, first of all, Sarah has a way of getting you in the exact right position to do the exercise, to get the most out of it, and not to aggravate any other conditions that you have. And you know, when you get to my age, usually you have a number of conditions, arthritic conditions or other spinal stuff. And so she manages to do that. She has wonderful cues, and she makes sure that she takes into account all of the different issues that you have and works with all of them to make sure nothing's getting aggravated. I think the other thing that she does is she adjusts the exercises. She just did this for me yesterday. I've been having a terrible time doing this one particular exercise, and she says, all right, let's rethink it. And now she's got me sitting in a chair doing it, and it's perfect.
Awesome.
And yeah, so she constantly is trying to make adjustments for who you are and what your problems are. I mean, I just find her to be the most outstanding trainer I've ever been with.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing us to share your story and relating your experience, because there's so many individuals, tens of thousands to millions of individuals in Debbie's same exact position that need the help of a qualified specialist. And I think the other thing that you and I have talked about with Sarah also is the language is the same, right? You're not hearing something different from Sarah than you hear from me.
Oh no,
and
it's the same.
It's the same language, and it's the same. What we're really developing is helping Debbie create her most optimal and efficient strategy. And it's not about just seeing how hard we can exercise you. We help you develop your ability to perform at your most optimal and efficient level. To get back to those things that you want to do, because you have a brand new grandchild. I should say he's about a year now, a little bit more than a year. But you just came back from New York, and you were babysitting young Britt, and
I was crawling around on the floor with him, which a year ago I could not have done.
That's right.
So it was fabulous.
And that's really what being a medical fitness specialist is really all about, is giving people like Debbie back her quality of life, to be able to get down on the floor, something she couldn't do prior to working with somebody like Sarah, so that she really has that quality of life and really enjoys the things about being a grandmother and aging and all the things that people are working their entire lives for. So thank you so much for joining us, and I really appreciate you being here and allowing us to share and people to learn from your story and experience as well.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much,
Yeah,
Debbie.
yeah.
Appreciate it. So, to wrap up, I know this has been a little bit of a longer session than most of our sessions here on Facebook Live, but just to illustrate and bring out the point that when you become a medical fitness specialist, you will have stories, tons of stories just like Debbie's, because there's people that need, want, and will seek your expertise out. So we have a couple opportunities coming up. Obviously, we share tons of free information with you here at Fitness Education Seminars and the Institute for Integrative Health and Fitness Education, and through this newsletter and our blog. However, we're going to be in San Francisco next week doing a half-day conference on working with people just like Debbie with osteoarthritic changes of their spine, hips, and knees. And then we're going to be presenting at the Medical Fitness Network, the conference, their annual conference, I should say, several locations throughout the United States. We're going to be in San Fran next week specifically sharing these concepts. So if you're looking for more information on that, check out our website or the Medical Fitness Network and become involved in that network, because that's why we partnered with Medical Fitness Network, as well as I became a board member because I believe in Lisa Dougherty and her message at Medical Fitness Network. Also, we have another opportunity coming up. I'll be speaking with another person that's on the board, J.R. Burgess, and he has a medical fitness facility up in St. Cloud, Minnesota. And we'll be speaking at his event on how to integrate medical fitness into doctors' offices, because that's the best way to attract more individuals just like Debbie that need, want, and will pay for your expertise. So lots of opportunities to learn. And if you're looking for more specific certification and intensive training, then check out the Integrative Corrective Exercise Instructor Program, which is a 3-day intensive and introduction to the integrative movement system. And that's how we really train you to be the specialist. And then the integrative movement specialist certification that Sarah came through, and we've had nearly 80 to 100 people have come through that certification already. So if you're looking for more information on that, check that out, because that's a year-long intensive, and that's really where you really get down into the heart of becoming a medical fitness specialist. To understand, to have the education, be able to communicate your education, be able to communicate with other healthcare professionals, to get referrals from healthcare professionals, and really differentiate yourself in the market, so that way you have greater impact, greater functional outcomes, as well as make greater income as a fitness professional. So thank you for watching. Thanks for allowing us to share this information. Thank you for all you do for your clients. We look forward to seeing you at one of these events. Make it a great day if you're here in the United States. Have a great Labor Day weekend, and we'll be back next week on Integrative Movement Insider Facebook Live. Take care. This is Dr. Evan Nosar. Have a great day.